I don't like streaming myself play. When I was growing up, I quickly learned that watching somebody else playing a game was a lot less fun than holding the controller for myself. The appeal of watching a Let's Play through in its entirety is lost on me, and I think that alone makes me a terrible person to do one. Having nothing else to base it on other than what other people were doing, my early content on YouTube was more similar to a Let's Play. It was still more edited and concise than one, but to me, the Let's Play elements still felt forced and artificial. I guess if you've known nothing else from a YouTuber other than forced Let's Plays, it appears normal to you. But when I see Let's Players, I see people putting on an act and overreacting to try and be entertaining. I know people who stream for a living, and they're nothing like that in reality. And if I'm honest, I prefer the real them. The concept of spewing every thought I have without the filter of a script makes my blood run cold. I talk to myself in the shower and think I'm awesome, but I'm not deluded enough to think that that would come across well if captured on camera. If I was to do a Let's Play, it would just be me playing the game. And I think that would be boring because when I'm left to my own devices, I don't spontaneously comment on every little thing that happens in game. I don't have the infinite curiosity and enthusiasm that I had when I was 5 years old. And I don't like the idea of hundreds of thousands of people seeing me pretend that I still do. I've done it in private, and I don't like the result. I've even streamed on Twitch a few times. One of these was a long time ago, and loads of people tuned in, including some senior Twitch staff. Even if they're my biggest fan, I can't imagine they saw much value in that stream. I didn't do anything unique, I just filmed myself playing some CSGO, but in a way like I knew I was being watched. I still cringe at the stuff I did to try and remain entertaining. More recently, I streamed myself making Destruction Darius 2, which was actually quite a nice experience. But it brought the project no closer to completion because I ended up talking to viewers for the duration of the session instead. So I don't like streaming. Don't take it for me being shy or as something I'd get used to. There are already numerous videos of me online stood in my underwear, looking like a right plonker. And I'm fine with those, because it's always a means to an end. I like to be the one behind the scenes, even when I'm in front of the camera. If it enables a good video to be made, like with my VR Isn't Cool video from last year, then I still feel like I'm the artist instead of the painting. Even if to the casual observer it looks like a simple old video about me stood in my underwear, looking like a right plonker. My videos have to serve some other kind of purpose than simply being about me. If I was to stream myself playing a game, it would have to be about the game. And if that's the case, then what exactly am I contributing to that experience? It frustrates me because being a Let's Player would make my life easier. I could capture an hour of content in an hour instead of 100. I could rack up that sweet ad revenue as people happily watch through dozens of ads in a single video. And it would open up Twitch as an option so that I'm not entirely at the mercy of YouTube's often erratic actions. And it helps my brand image for people to know my face. My trips to CSGO events have highlighted that fact to me. You could have 100 million subscribers, but if people only hear your voice, should you keep your mouth shut in public, then you'd still be a stranger. That's why I see Let's Plays as being a useful tool in a YouTuber's utility belt. And from the audience's perspective, I'd say Let's Plays help people to get invested in my life and personality, to feel like I'm their friend and that we're going on a gaming experience together. And that kind of bond will make viewers value my content more highly than, say, my current stuff. They may even want to set aside a chunk of their life every day to share in a bit of mine. Maybe the high standard I hold my videos to is my curse. When people tell me to stream, maybe it's because they think that me doing a Let's Play will be like my normal content, but longer. But of course it won't be. My content is short, heavily edited, and to the point. I'm reading a script right now, and I'm fine doing that because I know already that what I have to say is of value and will interest you. I don't waste time, I don't deviate or stutter. As far as I see it, if I was to do a Let's Play, I'd be combining the worst of my traits with the worst of the Let's Play genre. And while part of me wants to release a video to prove to everybody how much of a flop it would be, the other half of me wants to keep that goodwill that I've built up from the years of producing good content that I'm proud to have made. I'd rather people did think a Let's Play from me would be awesome, but to forever remain a tease. And then along came Half-Life Alyx, and I got so many requests to record myself playing that I couldn't just ignore it, especially since I knew I could record a high quality video stream without making the same mistakes as so many others would make. The question was, how to go about it. I ended up making 3 videos, covering the first 3 chapters of the game. The first I released almost immediately after the game was launched. That was a good enough reason for it to exist. The purpose of that video could simply be to showcase the game as soon as possible, and to a high enough standard that it would match or surpass the alternatives. Anything that went wrong in this video would serve as a learning experience for me to apply to the next. So I went through this first chapter without commentary. And there's so much going on in those first few minutes that I can get away with that, and talking over it would probably detract from it anyway. I played this through at a brisk pace, stopping to mess about with the things I deemed most enjoyable to play with, but trying not to get too sidetracked. That kind of stuff is best reserved for your own playthroughs. This first episode was helped thanks to numerous scripted sequences that I felt played into my video's playful, silly nature. I released this video and immediately got back to playing through the rest of the game. With hindsight, I should have got on and released as many gameplay videos on that first day as I could have. But I'm more methodical than that. I wanted to listen to the feedback, and to use that to make the second video better. Do this for each chapter of the game, and by the end I might even have discovered a let's play style that works for me. Problem is, I expected some idiot to post spoilers in the comment section, so to immunise myself from that I decided to beat the game first. I did that, then read through the comments on my first video's playthrough. I was pleasantly surprised to find not one spoiler had been posted. Thanks everybody. I was also surprised by how positive the response to my video had been. People liked the random stuff that I did, the way I broke the game, or screwed about in scenes. Which is great, because that's stuff I do naturally if I played the game. And it's stuff I'm adding to the experience, rather than simply showing the experience itself. So I took note of the graphical and gameplay mistakes that I had made in that first video and applied what I had learned to the second. And I'm proud of the thought that I put into this. I crafted a unique style of let's play that I thought would entertain and inform my viewers, while not being an unbearably dull experience for me to act out myself. I chose the options to make the screen clean, devoid of messy, non-immersive HUD elements. Let me as the player worry about my stats, I thought. You as the viewer can just sit back and enjoy the journey. I configured the screen to have as large a field of view as possible. The trade-off from using both eyes is that it has to fade between the left and right eye somewhere on the screen, hence this weird fade that you can see occasionally on objects up close. But I decided that was worth it to have a screen that showed more of what was going on, and at a higher resolution than others. Speaking of others, from what I could see, all other Let's Plays were showing their first playthrough. They were acting surprised at every enemy encounter, they were fumbling with weapons, taking the time to collect everything, and were getting stuck on the puzzles for so long it was infuriating to watch. What was the point in me replicating what had been done so many times before? So I decided to be different. I wouldn't patronise the player by pretending to be surprised, and I wouldn't be a slow player either. I'd instead be me, playing through the level at a good speed, using that time to showcase the stuff that I thought was interesting, and rushing past the bits that weren't. To pretty much make it like my regular content, but done live. I wouldn't immediately rush in and beat the puzzles, I'd play them through as I was supposed to, but wouldn't deliberately struggle just for the hell of it. At this point, I had already beaten the game. This tutorial stage was no longer a challenge for me. I didn't want to blitz through it all either to show the world how awesome I was. I instead used my experience to make it more entertaining in other ways, maybe by fearlessly running into a barnacle because I had health to spare.
Oh, careful of that barnacle, Alyx.
Or maybe I'd try poking one. I'd try approaching the tutorial parts in a less often seen way. Oh, there's a syringe of unknown substance? Don't listen to the characters talking about it, let's just jam it into my hand instead.
Alyx, did you just inject yourself with something you found on the ground?
Oh cool, there's dialogue for that. Oh look, there's a set piece where one monster attacks another. Let's throw a spanner in the works and make it a more tense situation. Or maybe I'd try getting closer to enemies, with less ammunition loaded than might be sensible. My favourite was when I ignored a zombie and casually strolled down a train carriage with it creeping up behind me, much to the horror of the viewer. I decided that collecting resin might be fun if you're doing it in person, but can't be fun for viewers after the first few examples. So I took the piss. I'd throw it away, deliberately avoid it, or use it to bait barnacles. Stuff that would make a player of the game shout "No!" But it would still be more entertaining to watch than to be a hoarder who was just playing the game normally, and more methodically. It would be great fun for viewers who were in on the joke. And actually, most viewers were. There were a few negative comments, and some who simply didn't get the humour, which is to be expected. But after I cleared out the deliberately nasty comments, the feedback was actually still pretty good. But I wasn't happy with the video, and I think that many of the viewers weren't either. Of course, I know what people want. Or at least what they think they want. They want for me to talk. They want to see me in my underwear, looking like a plonker, acting surprised at everything. They want me to be something that I'm not and that doesn't exist. So I'm sorry, it's not happening. I felt that second playthrough was as good as I could make, given the no commentary constraint that I had put up on myself. But unless I talk, I think I agree that it still isn't a worthwhile series to make. People always say I should hire someone to help me with my content, but I wouldn't have them edit my videos or anything like that. Instead, I'd pay them to sit behind me with a whip, which they'd punish me with every time I started to procrastinate. This employee of mine could even help with Let's Plays. They could sit in the corner and let me talk to them while I'm playing to make it less awkward than if I was simply talking to myself. You can get away with talking to yourself when somebody's there to listen, even if they have to be paid to do it. And carrying a whip. It can make the damage in VR more convincing too. But I'm getting sidetracked here. Despite my playthrough in its current no commentary state being doomed, I did make another video. For science. This one listened to the criticism the second video got, and was changed accordingly. I scrapped the messing around, I took the combat seriously so that I wasn't considered a bad player, and collected resin like I actually cared about the stuff. I even switched to a lower field of view from a single eye, just to get rid of that distracting blurry bit that was annoying some viewers. And I enabled HUD so that my viewers could see my current health and ammo at all times. The way I see it, this playthrough had none of the charm or appeal of my earlier ones. It became the same as all the others on YouTube, minus the voice. Even if this new style was a success, I'd have no interest in carrying on with it. And while I'd prefer to return to my old style, I still didn't deem it worthy of being on my channel. You know, I wrote this video up before I released the third video. I was hoping to get it out first so that you would all be in on the experiment, but decided it was more important to get the playthrough out as soon as possible, what with the game still being relatively new. But the good news is, since I've waited so long before releasing this video, I can now tell you how the new video has done. It has gotten a lot of comments saying that they prefer the older style. Some even say that I'm a coward for changing it to what people wanted. I disagree with that. I don't really think that people wanted this, and what really makes me the coward is that in the video's description, I explained that I had changed the playthrough style. I did this because I was afraid that people would think I thought this change was a good idea, and I didn't want anybody thinking I was proud of how it turned out. And maybe to pin the blame on the haters of the second video, rather than me not wanting to do it. Poor video didn't stand a chance, really. What I should have done is to release it without any of my thoughts on it, and to see if my audience would still have picked up on the changes. So while I screwed up that experiment, I still have the video's analytics to fall back on. So how has it been received? It got fewer views, which you'd expect given that it's the third in the series. But at the same time, audience retention is 50% greater, which means YouTube deems it to be a much better video and will earn me more ad revenue. Chapter 2 lost me more subscribers, but then gained me more as well. But all this could be explained from it being the second in the series, compared with being the third. So a bit of an uninspired result, really. It doesn't seem like it matters which playthrough style I do. It's not like one style will make my channel prosper, nor will the other burn it to the ground. Both styles of playthrough are okay for my YouTube stats, but aren't the sort of content that's going to grow my audience or contribute to my channel's goodwill. And I can't say for sure, but maybe I did release that third video for myself. Maybe I hoped it would be a failure so that I could end this experiment and feel justified in returning to my usual old self, producing my usual old content again. I still don't like streaming myself play.